who is Director and Professor of the Turpan Ermophyte Botanic Garden in Xizang Institute of Ecology and Geography. It is a part of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Professor Guan has been a leader in the field of botanic gardens in China for many years. Previously, he was director of the Kunming Botanical Garden, again with the Chinese Academy of Sciences, from 1995 to 2006. He has many publications to his credit, and he has also played a leading role in various organizations relating to botany and to botanic gardens in China. And we are very pleased to have him to address us now on the title of The Global Significance of Biodiversity and Its Conservation in Central Asia. Professor Guan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. It's really a great pleasure to be here to the country, New Zealand, of pure beauty, which I learned from the airplane, and also the pure beauty of the city of Dunedin. And it's really a great pleasure to meet a lot of old friends and also to meet a lot of new friends. We have a saying in China, good meal makes you sleepy. We had a very good lunch, and I think everyone is very sleepy now. And you can sleep. I only hope is if we don't make a lot of big noisy of snoring, and that's fine. Okay. So my talk today is the global significance of biodiversity and its conservation in Central Asia. Actually, as Peter introduced, I actually spent most of my time working a very wet area, but just moved to a very dry area 4 years ago. So I'm trying to talk the topic which actually I'm not very familiar. I'm trying to learn more about this area. So Central Asia, as you can see, often means 5 Central Asian countries, including Xinjiang and the 3 northwest part of Yunnan and Mongolia. It's actually quite a large area. It's got 10 million square kilometers, and it has about 100 million populations. And the star, actually, where I come from, and while we had lunch, we had a talk with some people from the States, and they said, we thought States is very far from New Zealand, and they said it took about nearly 20 hours for them to get to here. We actually took about the same time, 20 hours from here to get to the New Zealand here. So, and, I'm not very familiar. So, the Central Asia actually occupies of the nearly about 30% of the total aerial regions in the world. And it is a very sort of important area for the arid land biodiversity. And it has a lot of unique sort of bioresources. And it's also the origin and distribution of center of many sort of economic plants. And we have, I just mentioned, most areas are dry in Central Asia, but actually the landscape diversity is very diversified. And we have glaciers, snow mountains, alpine forest, and many others. And of course, the main things in Central Asia is mountain and desert. And as you can see, we have mountains like Tian Shan Mountain and Kunlun Mountain, and also Altai. I don't know how many people are familiar with these mountains, but all these mountains are actually quite famous in Central Asia. And apart from the mountains, and desert is main thing in Central Asia. And one of the famous deserts is Taklamakan Desert, and another one is Tumbangu Desert. And we have, as you can see, Central Asia, when people think about desert, and actually we have a lot of sort of quite famous things, like here, and we have two second things in the world. And the second highest peak in Georgia, and the lowest terrain, Turpan. This is our botanical garden, Turpan Emerophyte Botanical Garden, which we are located under the sea level. Our botanical garden is, the altitude is 105 meters below sea level. So we have a lot of oxygen there. And the climate condition is very dry and windy. And the annual rainfall, the average annual rainfall is about 140 millimeters. But the annual evaporation is very high. But in some extreme areas, like the Turpan Basin, where I come from, and the annual rainfall is only about 16 millimeters a year. So we had nearly no rainfall at all. So this is a figure about the rainfall and the evaporation. And the temperature, we can summarize in 2 words. It's very hot and cold. And in Turpan, the highest temperature in summertime, it can be 50 degrees centigrade. And for the ground level of temperature, ground temperature, if we put an egg at the top of a sand, and it can cook properly. And in northern part of Xinjiang, and the temperature can be minus 50, so it's very cold too. So 2 words, hot and cold. And actually, not only hot and cold, we also have very diversified of ecosystems. Here you can see we kind of mountain ecosystem, and of course, desert ecosystem is one of the main things. And actually, we have a lot of, I'll talk a little bit more about later, and about desert. And highland ecosystem, and summertime, it's very, very colorful and very beautiful. And if you think Central Asia is just only desert and sand and stone, that's wrong. We have a lot of colors, actually. And we also have grassland ecosystem, and pastures, and it's a very important thing to us, to Central Asian countries. And also we have quite a lot of water, actually. We said dry, but wetland ecosystem is also another one of the important things for Central Asia. We have a lot of lakes, and we have quite a few rivers too. And also farmland ecosystem. Farming is quite important for Central Asian countries. In Xinjiang and in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, farming is a very important thing to this region. And the floristic feature of Central Asia, as you can see, we have quite a lot of endemic sort of species and plants. And we have in total species of the whole Central Asia, we got nearly about 9,000 species, which in 1,284 genera and about 140 families. And as you can see, this is an example of Xinjiang, and the color of here is white. Worldwide distribution is only occupied about 1%. And as you can see here, and this 66% are sort of, we call the Asian sort of flora elements. So it's very special. If we're talking about individual countries, and as you can see here, we got Kazakhstan, and Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan, and Turkmenistan, and Mongolia, and Xinjiang region. And more or less the same. And, but if we are talking about endemic sort of figures, which have a very high figure of endemic sort of plants in this region. So, in summarizing of our floristic characters, and we have very rich floristic elements compared relatively, and they're very rich of native genera in key region for the floristic research. And it's now getting a very hot point for biodiversity research in the world. Quite a lot of botanists and a lot of people paid attention to this region now. And one of the 8 sort of centers of origin of crops in the world. And about 10% among 8,736 species are endangered species. And about 2,000 species are medicinal plants, but this figure can be more because different region, people from different region, they use different people for medicines. And about 100 species are wild fruit species, like apples and pears and quite a lot of fruit trees actually originate from that region. Maybe not many people knew that. And about nearly 100 species are very closely related species to green crops. And because of the very extreme conditions and climate conditions, we have many significant species, like the species of the red species from terrestrial or these areas. And as you can see, this is just give you an example. Actually, we have many plant species, and which we can mention or which you can find in Central Asia. And also progeny of testis plants, like very familiar plants of Aphidra, and like there's Carpinus spinosa, and many plants you can find here. They grow in very extreme conditions, and they are very sort of like this species, and Carpinus spinosa, it's widely distributed in desert conditions, in Africa and desert too. And this plant is very interesting, actually. That's very good for stabilizing sand hills moving, actually. They grow very quickly, and in 1 year growth, it can grow more than 2 meters long, actually. It just can stabilize a lot of sand. And many interesting sort of figures about this plant. And also we can find a lot of drought-tolerant plants in desert conditions, and like tamarix, and like this plant, they grow in very sort of high sand hills. They just rely on underground water. So they must have a very sort of special genes to survive. And also cold-tolerant plants, and like this plant, not many plants, sort of evergreen broadleaf plants, which can survive the temperature nearly 50 degrees centigrade, and also survive nearly minus 50 degrees centigrade. The time difference can be about 100 degrees. So this is a very special plant. And also holophytes, as you can see in the desert places, we have a lot of saline land, and but still a lot of plants live in this area quite happily, and they show their beauty very frequently, actually. And a lot of sort of medicinal plants in desert or in arid land area, and this is a very sort of important medicines to us, and this is also a very important one. And this is a very important medicinal plants as well as a very sort of beautiful plants. And also we have quite a lot of ornamentals, like Carnigonium fruits, and like quite a few species of berries from Central Asian countries. And also, maybe you know tulip, and actually yeah, many people or everyone knows that tulip is originally from Central Asia. And quite apart from this plant we know, and we still have a lot of plants which are very, very sort of important for ornamental sort of breeding purpose. And also we have sort of wild apple trees. There are also a lot of wild sort of fruit species. And this is the wild apple sort of trees, and in miles and miles. When it flowers, it really a great sort of give you a great sort of beauty there. This is the situation in Yili Valley, and also get a very large area in Tajikistan, or Kazakhstan, sorry. So it's really a good thing. And everyone, we had melons for breakfast and also for lunch, but we don't know if we know that melon is actually from Africa and also from Central Asia. That is, we found sort of wild melon in Hami, in Xinjiang region, and which is very important too. And as we know, Xinjiang or Central Asia is a very important sort of area for producing sort of a lot of melons. And we have a lot of cultivated melons in that regions too. And the grapes, also a lot of sort of cultivars. And we have a lot of extreme conditions, and we have a lot of natural sort of resources. But because of the sort of human activities and global sort of climate changing, and also that made a lot of changes to the landscapes and to the floras. And like the land desertification is one of the problems in Central Asia. Maybe it's more serious in China. And like in Xinjiang, this is the desertification sort of speed is, it's very fast. And this is nearly more than 100 square kilometers, 1 million square kilometers sort of the facing desertification in Xinjiang only. And soil salinization is also becoming a very serious problem because of the farming. And like this is the situation, not only in China, also in other Central Asian countries too. And also a lot of collections, people relied on sort of the wild sort of vegetables, wild sort of natural resources, and like vegetables, quite commonly collected from mountains, and herbs or medicines collected or hunted from the wild. And this is not only in China, and also very popularly in Central Asian countries, in Mongolia, in China, and in Kazakhstan, in Tajikistan. And it's a common problem. So our plant resources, our plant diversities, facing a serious sort of problem of living sort of existing problem. So I think it is our task to trying to protect or make conservation or trying to save these important sort of natural resources. Because of the problem I was talking previously, so we think that's maybe the time, or maybe it is not too late to trying to do something to protect these important natural resources. So because of that, we are going to do 2 projects in Xinjiang. And the one project is to build an arid region, so plant germplasm bank located in Xinjiang. And another one, we are going to try to build another botanical garden in Yili, apart from Turpan Amorphyte Botanical Garden. Because Turpan, the conditions of Turpan is too extreme, and we can't protect many plants there. So only some sort of really sort of hot or cold tolerant plant we can grow there, but probably not more than 100 species, I guess. So we're trying to build a relatively large ones in Yili, and this is the plant germplasm bank, and we have a master plan, and we just started, and but it will be a big project. We had one in Kunming, which mainly on the tropical and subtropical plants, and this one we're trying to focus mainly on arid land plants. And the Yili Botanical Garden is located here, and this is Kazakhstan, and this is the Yili Valley. And the garden, we're planning to build the garden is a quite big one. The area is, the master plan area is 35 square kilometers. We are not going to build the purpose for the biggest or for the largest world, but we think we do need to have such a big area to protect successfully many sort of Central Asian plants. And this is the location of our botanical garden. And this is the garden at the moment, the situation. It's quite nice, actually, quite beautiful now. And this is the apple trees, wild apple trees. And the reason we are going to build the garden at such a large area is we want to cover, this is a river, and we want to cover the river and some sort of hilly land and include some mountain areas. So, and this is the mountain area. We can, okay, yes, we'll finish quite soon. And this is from the top. And so the altitude of the garden is from 900 to more than 3,000 meters, within the distance of not more than 10 kilometers. So thank you very much.
There is time for questions, if anyone wants to. Sorry.
If no one else will ask, I will.
Have to say who you are.
I was curious to know with the new Yili Garden what your plans will be with collection development. Will you focus mostly on the species native to Central Asia, or will you have plants from all over the world?
We are planning 3 stages. The first stage, we're just planning on the plants mainly from Yili Valley, which already started this year. And the second stage, we are going to focus in on the Central Asian countries. And we also have planning to have the sort of the worldwide sort of collections. That's the third stage, maybe after 20 or 30 years later. So we need everyone's help. We need your expertise. We need your help. We need your kindness. And also, if you have money.
Is there a further question? Yes, way at the back.
Hi, I'm from BGC Education. Thank you very much for the really exposing us to the beauty of your area. You talked a lot about plants and how important it is to conserve the biodiversity. We didn't see anything about people. So how are you planning to communicate the importance of conserving this beauty to the people? I would really like to see your views in that respect. Thank you.
Okay. What are your communication plans for education, for example?
Oh, okay. Well, yes, it's a quite important question, actually, communication with people. And Xinjiang, actually, the population is not very, the very big population compared with other provinces of China, although we have nearly 30 million of people there. So, we think we're focusing on in the future, and to build the garden there, and we're trying to facing the people, not only from the local, but also the region, and also the whole country, and also Central Asia, and also we hope the whole world. Thank you. I don't know if you answered the question.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Guan. We have had two fascinating and important presentations this afternoon. First, Steve Blackmore is looking at the need for partnerships, and clearly so much of what we need to achieve in the coming years will only be achieved through having effective partnerships. Professor Guan also pointed out really the need for the creation of new botanic gardens and strong botanic gardens in parts of the world where they don't currently exist and have the capacity to do so. I think also the focus on economic plants and the plants that sustain us was a message that I will take away from your presentation.